My friends, governing is about meeting the needs of today while not losing sight of the state we want for our children and grandchildren to inherit. It's about making Idaho strong today and prepared for tomorrow.
Governor Brad Little laid out the plan he believes will help the state achieve that goal. Strong today, prepared for tomorrow. He focused on education, transportation, public safety, and health care, all with an eye on the budget. But what do lawmakers on the other side of the aisle think about his proposals? Where do they agree with him, and where do they see a different path forward? Today, we'll find out. New House Minority Leader Ilana Rubel and Senate Minority Leader Michelle Stennett have the Democrats' response to Governor Little's proposals and their priorities for the 2020 legislative session. Ahead on Viewpoint.
From Idaho's News Channel 7, this is Viewpoint.
And welcome to Viewpoint. I'm Doug Petcash. The legislative session is now underway. Idaho has a part-time legislature, so the Republicans and Democrats have their work cut out for them for the next 3 to 4 months. Over the last couple weeks here on Viewpoint, we've heard from Republican Governor Brad Little and Republican Speaker of the House, Representative Scott Bedke. They talked about what they see as the big issues and their top priorities for the 2020 legislative session. You can watch those shows on ktvb.com or our mobile news app. Today, it's the Democrats' turn. We'll get their take on the governor's proposals in the State of the State address, but also hear their priorities for the session. My guests today are House Minority Leader Representative Ilana Rubel and Senate Minority Leader Michelle Stennett. Representative Rubel is in her 4th term. Her Democratic colleagues recently selected her as Minority Leader after Matt Erpelding resigned from the legislature to pursue a career opportunity with the Boise Metro Chamber of Commerce. Now also Senator Stennett is in her 5th term. Both of you, thank you so much for being here, for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
So let me start, Representative Rubel, with the transition, and how has it been, taking over for former Representative Matt Erpelding as House Minority Leader?
Yeah. Well, I miss him a lot already. He was a dear friend and a really great minority leader, but it's going well so far. I'm still waiting for the pictures to get hung on my walls and get moved into the new office. It's going to be a really hot session. I think there's going to be a lot of important things and potentially contentious things, so I'm bracing for impact, but I'm ready for it.
So what do you see, Senator Stennett, as the top issues for Democrats this year? If you can give me an idea of some of the big topics, then we can talk more in depth about them as we go.
Well, I was pleased to see the governor spoke about what we all think is the most important, and that's education. And he mentioned having a budget in his budget addressing the K through 12, but also higher education. He does want to put some money into literacy. We would prefer, I think, if we had our preference, to have more conversation and resources into kindergarten and early learning. But pleased to see that we're still on a very slow trajectory into improving our education system and putting the resources there for it, particularly teacher pay and veteran teacher pay, which is something that we said we would address. He did speak to many things that I think we are important. The one thing I think he was light on is transportation infrastructure. He did mention some money going into it, though I'm not sure it's coming out of state money. And given all the growth that we're seeing in Idaho, particularly in this area, and also up in Coeur d'Alene and other places in the state, we need to be talking about safety and better roads and bridges, but also talking about infrastructure with water and sewer and education and healthcare. With the population increase in the state, we'll need to be addressing that in the future.
And what do you see on the House side, Representative Rubel, in those terms of the top priorities?
Yeah, well, I certainly second everything Senator Stennett said about. I'm very happy to hear ongoing, increased investment in education, I was very happy to hear the emphasis on criminal justice reform. I think that's long overdue. We have just been seeing skyrocketing budgets on the correction front, and we cannot continue to be the lead incarcerator in the West, shipping massive numbers of people out of state to Texas to private prisons at enormous expense. It really makes it hard to fund the things that I think people care more about. It's eating up all the money that should be going to schools and roads and healthcare and all the things that I think people would rather see their tax dollars go to. There's a tremendous tremendous amount of room for improvement in that area. So I really hope we can make real progress there, and was happy to hear the governor get behind that. One of our top priorities this session is to get property tax reductions. This is something we've been hearing a great deal about from our constituents. Property taxes have gone through the roof, and we absolutely need to address it. But I think we need to have a really honest and informed conversation about the causes of why property taxes have been going up, because it's a very multilateral discussion. But it's been driven, I think, in very large part by the state's failure to fund education adequately at the top level, which has forced local government to have to pass bonds and levies, which raise people's property taxes. I think it's been driven in large part by getting the state's decision to get rid of the indexed property tax exemption a couple years ago, which really drove everybody's property taxes up. We are going to push hard to put that back in this session and give people some relief in that regard. So there are a lot of things we need to be doing, but the state has basically just been shoving one unfunded mandate after another onto counties, and the only option they have to pay for it is property taxes. So overflowing prisons, the state sends their prisoners to the county jails, doesn't pay them the cost of what it costs to house them in those county jails, and the county has to scramble through property taxes to cover the gap. So we've really been putting some bad pincer maneuvers on county governments, and we need to stop and give property taxpayers some relief.
Are you also thinking about increasing the homeowners exemption as well?
Well, that would happen naturally in the course of indexing the property tax exemption, because that that had the effect of dramatically reducing the exemption everybody gets. So if we re-index it, it will bring up everybody's property tax exemption and get them a break there. We also want to work on the circuit breaker to give some relief to low-income seniors.
And what does that mean, the circuit breaker? Can you explain that?
Oh, it's a really wonky, yeah.
In 10 seconds.
It's a long and it's basically a method of giving relief to senior citizens who are low income and giving them a break on their property taxes. But it hasn't been upped in many years. So I think it's really time to increase that and update it and get it up to a level where it's really meaningful for senior citizens.
It has been tried for many years. I've been hearing about this for 20 years, giving that same kind of relief to seniors, and never been able to get it out of the legislature.
What do you see as perhaps your first bill that will be introduced this year from the Democrats, or the most important bill that you're working on?
Oh,
Can you let the cat out of the bag at this time?
Well, Moritz, there are so many different things that we're working on that I'm not sure I would feel comfortable saying for everybody which is the most important.
Okay.
I think we're doing a lot of work on many pieces of trying to improve victims' rights and working on tax structure, trying to find ways of a local option tax we've been talking about again, which seems to never gain traction, particularly in the House, for adding other revenue streams for counties and being able to have them have the latitude by county of their own discretion about what is most important to fund. As they're trying to do major projects within their communities, they're going to need to have some different type of revenue stream, as was mentioned, beyond property tax. So mostly it's trying to move what we know our resources are around to do what's most efficient with them, and we're going to all disagree about what that looks like as far as what we think is the priority, amongst our colleagues, but also with everyone in the House and the Senate. So they're just right now it's too early for me to say which is going to rise to the top. So.
I want to get back to education a little
Right.
bit. The governor's task force, Our Kids Idaho's Future Task Force, came out with its 5 top recommendations not too long ago, and I have a graphic that we can put on the screen so the folks at home can see what that looks like. And here they are again. Of course, increased teacher pay, which you both talked about, offer optional state-funded all-day kindergarten, better help students with emotional challenges, improve K-3 literacy, and increase flexibility in K-12 funding. Representative Rubel, how do you feel about the recommendations that came out, and do you see yourself, the Democrats, pushing to enact all of those?
Yeah, I think there isn't a thing on that list that I don't see us fully supporting. There are areas in which we would have liked to go further, but I think we certainly plan to teacher pay we've been working on that and chipping away at that with the career ladder, but I mean we're still not there. We're still facing a recruitment and retention crisis for teachers. With respect to the kindergarten, absolutely, we want to expand kindergarten availability and we can. I think what's being put on the table is probably not enough to get everybody in the state that wants it to have access to full-day kindergarten, but it will increase the number of people that have access to that. Certainly one of the recommendations of the task force was that it be universal and available to everybody, not mandatory, but universally available. We're not going to get there, I think, with what was proposed in the governor's budget, but it will expand it somewhat. And again, we would have liked to see a discussion about early stage education. There's so much data on the importance and effectiveness of early childhood education. There was nothing in there on that, or at least a little bit of the literacy funds. I think for high needs areas, there will be some availability built there, but not the kind of universal access that would be the dream and that most states have.
And
I liked the mental health portion of it too, I think, which we've been very far behind on. So his talk about making sure that we're addressing mental health issues within our schools, but also just universally, I think is an important topic.
There's so many things we could talk about with education, but in the time that we have, I want to be able to get through a bunch of topics today if we can. Next, I want to talk about the budget, because the governor asked state agencies to cut 1% this year, 2% next year. How concerned are you about where the budget stands right now?
I'm very concerned. I think
tax revenues.
I understand being fiscally conservative, and I understand about putting money away to be prepared for a flattening of the economy, which is what we're hearing about. But at the same time, there's a tremendous amount of burden of asking 1% from local governments and then 2% next year perpetually, not just for 1 year, and then the 3% from all your agencies and departments. That many of those are not functioning optimally anyway. We're asking a lot from our health and welfare department, for instance, and then to take a 3% cut and then 2% forever. I think it's, for what we need to do, we need to be using that money smartly, but I think just putting it aside right now is premature. There's just too many needs for what we need to be addressing. And I think we have to address things like wages for our people and affordable housing, and these are critical living standards that I think we should be addressing and focusing on right now. And yes, put a little bit aside, but I think it was it's a bit too frugal right now to do everything that he's asking.
You wanted to add?
Yeah, definitely. I share all the same concerns that were just expressed, but I think it's important to keep in mind that Idaho's population grew nearly 2% last year. It was a 1.8% growth in 1 year. We're the fastest growing state in the nation. So even if you held all the agency budgets level, it would essentially be a cut, because it would mean that you would be spreading it a little thinner across more people. When you put in a 2% actual cut, it's really like a 4% cut, because you have substantially fewer resources that you now have to apply to more people. It's going to be painful. Our agency budgets were very, very lean, arguably too lean in many areas already, and we're going to feel some pain from those cuts. So we have to watch very closely to try to mitigate the damage. It's really unfortunate that in this time of record prosperity, we're looking at inflicting that kind of pain. I think it's the fallout of, frankly, top margin tax cuts that we could not afford, and that took hundreds of millions of dollars a year of revenue away from the state, where really all the benefit, frankly, went to the wealthy. Very little, I think people on the bottom end of the spectrum got about $8 a year from those tax cuts. All the money, it was the people at the top that got $5,000 a year cuts. So it's going to inflict a lot of pain, and frankly, I don't know that it gave much benefit to the people who need it. But there's no magic to budgeting. When you squeeze, it's going to come out somewhere else. And this gets back to the property tax issue. When we underfund things at the state level, somebody's got to pick up that slack if they want to have the services, if they want to have the fire services, and if they want to fix the roof on their school, and all of this, and all of that pretty much ends up falling to the property taxpayer.
It's a tax shift.
It's a tax shift. So, and again, the underfunding of the agencies, I think there is going to be a shift there. For example, undercompensating hospitals, which is one of the proposals. That's going to fall to somebody. That's going to mean increased rates for everybody else. When they don't pay for those Medicaid patients at a level that keeps the hospitals afloat, it just means they have to raise everybody else's rates. So, bit of a shell game going on there, I think, where the costs are going to fall in other places.
We're going to take a time out right there, and we're going to talk more about Medicaid expansion when we come back. Also, still ahead on Viewpoint, the state of Idaho is growing very fast, as the representative and senator have been talking about. That means more and more cars and trucks on our roads. So we'll talk about what needs to be done for transportation. You already heard what their thoughts were about the governor's plan on that, but we'll get their thoughts coming up.
Need glasses now? We have a lens lab in every store and can make them for you in as little as 30 minutes.
2 pairs start at just $38.71, and 91% of our glasses are ready the same day. No one makes glasses faster than iMart Express.
The New Year's Super Sale at Denver Mattress has been extended, so there's still time to find great deals on your perfect mattress. For a price that won't keep you up at night, check out the Doctor's Choice Plush or Firm, only $599.99. Or the budget-friendly Summit Queen, now just $189.99. Plus, get a $300 Furniture Row gift certificate when you purchase a Tempur-Pedic or a Sealy Hybrid mattress. Plus, 5 years, no interest financing. Hurry! The extended New Year's Super Sale at Denver Mattress ends soon.
Sometimes a routine is a good thing to break. Start your morning at McDonald's and get a sausage McMuffin or any of these drinks for just $1 each. Because if you don't deserve a morning that's a little easier and a lot tastier, who does?
On February 6th, get ready for bad news.
We're here, we're broke. Get used to it.
When your parents move in.
Could you show me how to work this? I tried looking up the instructions, but every time I Googled Grindr, the results were a little surprising.
Please do not use Google without me in your presence.
Privacy moves out.
This is on the internet!
I did not notice breasts.
Jet, stop zooming in on my wife's breasts. Pinch them to make them smaller. No, wait, don't do that. Ew, God!
Fran Drescher stars. Indebted premieres February 6th on NBC.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/therightseat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
Welcome back to Viewpoint. I'm Doug Petcash. Today we're talking about the big issues and priorities as Democratic leaders see them. My guests are House Minority Leader Representative Ilana Rubel and Senate Minority Leader, Michelle Stennett. Thank you again both for being here today. I want to talk about Medicaid expansion right now. The governor has proposed Medicaid expansion is funded into this summer. And now this session is going to be deciding how to fund it going forward, the state's portion of it. The governor has recommended leveraging the Millennium Fund, which is tobacco settlement dollars, as well as the offset to the counties and some other state money. What do you think about the idea of including counties in helping to pay for the Medicaid expansion?
I am not a fan of asking the counties to pay $8.5 million to the expansion. Partly that's because he didn't explain how that would be divided. I mean, one county like Camas County would be different than Ada County, or is that evenly divided when the resources are very different between those two counties? How long would they expect, would that be something they'd expect $8.5 million every year? Or I think there's a misconception that most of our counties are, the governor actually said it once, bloated, and most of the counties that I work with, they're running on very lean, they've met all their caps, they don't have other revenue streams. We've mentioned they've taken all they can realistically do out of property tax. And to add that extra burden down to the counties, I think is a mistake. I think we do have the resources to be able to do that without putting that to the county level.
And Representative Rubel, what do you think should be done? How should it go forward?
I agree 100%. I mean, you know, the number one thing I hear from people, last night somebody called me and said, what are you going to do about my property taxes? And it seems to me, you know, sticking another $8.5 million onto county budgets, which they're going to have to satisfy through property taxes, is not going to make people very happy. And the money's there in the general fund. I mean, we really don't have to do this. Over the intersession, there was an interim committee that found that we could pay for it out of state dollars, or all of it except I think $800,000. So almost all of it can readily be found in existing state funds. So I don't really think it's necessary to put this down onto the counties.
So do you think that that'll be hashed out then, and that'll be the battle this year?
I think it will be a battle, and you know, I don't know where it's going to shake out in the end. Part of the problem also is it's not like we have necessarily gotten rid of the gap population. It would be one thing if we had implemented clean Medicaid expansion that actually put everybody on Medicaid expansion, and then the counties would be able to rely on savings and say, okay, now we don't need these county indigent funds for people who show up with no insurance. Unfortunately, the legislature didn't do that. They put these restrictions on Medicaid expansion, work requirements, and all these other things that are going, if implemented, to recreate a gap population of uninsured people. So we're still going to have people showing up with no insurance that the counties are going to have to pay for. And we don't know how large that exposure is going to be. So it seems premature to be snatching money from the counties when the legislature went and recreated a gap population that's going to stick counties with the cost. We need to see how that plays out till we even know if counties are going to have savings to tap into.
Talked a little bit about transportation in the first segment. What do you think needs to be done in terms of transportation funding?
We have had many ideas come before us on transportation, and again, I hate to always go back to the counties, but we used to have the surplus eliminator, and last year we didn't renew it, and so our local highway districts are really struggling. There's a lot of damage on those roads, and they just don't have the resources at all to fix them, which is a public safety issue. But on a greater level, the Transportation Department has told us that they are, I think it's $400 million behind on maintenance, somewhere around that, and that's not even new construction. So in order for us to be able to deal with what's going to need to be an expanding infrastructure, but also to make sure that the roads are safe, there's hundreds and hundreds of bridges that are not up to par, and it takes a lot of money and resources to be able to replace them or to fix them. And so the state needs to be putting money aside and start at tackling this, but there has been virtually no movement on that. We did registration increases, tax increases about 4 years ago, and we did nothing on trucking. Trucking got a pass, and yet they are the ones that use the roads the most and arguably probably damage the roads as much as any other user on the road. And so there are other places that we should be, every user community should be feeling the pain a little bit and putting money into it so that we can make the proper improvements.
We only have a couple of minutes left, so I want to just touch on some other topics real quickly. Do you believe that there will be another effort to increase the minimum wage this year in legislation?
I suspect what's probably going to happen there is there's the ballot initiative that I think has, I mean, we may well run it, but I don't know that it'll get a hearing. We've been running that bill every year for as long as I've been in the legislature, and it's never been allowed a hearing or a vote. And I don't anticipate that the majority party will allow that to happen this year. But there is a ballot initiative out there that has considerable traction and I think has well over 20,000 signatures. So I think this may be a case where the people have to take it into their own hands because certainly the GOP leadership in the legislature has never been willing to allow a vote on it.
Senator Stennett, the Republican leaders have talked about looking into grocery tax relief. Where do you stand on that?
The last time it came before us, I was a proponent of giving relief because it does impact our more poverty communities. But right now, if we're talking about holding all this money back and other infrastructure needs, that sort of thing, I'm wondering if it's timely at the moment. There is talk about pulling only a portion away and using, I think it was $35 million the governor was talking about, which I think it's $270 million if we do a full grocery tax cut. So perhaps it would be, and this would, the devil would be in the details, but perhaps we would say, okay, you get some kind of tax credit for Idahoans, but that way you wouldn't, because when people come through the state, they all pay for the taxes. You know, they pay sales tax in their groceries when they're traveling through. They're not Idahoans. They help boost the economy. They help with our services, and so it'd have to be very thoughtfully planned out.
Yeah, the speaker also mentioned that a lot of tourists and others who pass through pay the taxes. We
would want to be really strategic about how we do it, because right now if there is this talk about us being very careful with our budgets, it seems ill-timed if we are just going to get rid of it all at once. And so a thoughtful way of going about it, I think, is a good discussion. I know that even within our caucuses we have very different ideas about what we think about a grocery tax credit right now. So it would really depend on what a bill looked like.
Okay, we're going to take a second break here for just a couple of minutes, and when we come back, first things first, what's the immediate focus in the legislature?
The New Year's Super Sale at Furniture Row has been extended, so there's still time to find your perfect new look.
Find the latest styles in living. Have I told you you look great in red? Dining. I think she likes it. Bedroom. French country. Ooh la la. And mattresses. Is it comfy? Because it looks comfy.
And best of all, get $100 off every $1,000 you spend, plus 5 years no interest financing.
But hurry, the extended New Year's Super Sale at Furniture Row ends soon.
Dear Winter, it's been fun getting to know you. Sleet, blizzards, ice. I love that you don't hold back. We didn't take it personally when you tried to bury us under 6 feet of snow. It's cool. You do your thing, and we'll do ours. Stay chill, Toyota Trucks.
Lease a new 2020 4Runner for $349 a month. Plus, every new Toyota comes with Toyota Care, our no-cost maintenance plan with roadside assistance. Find yours at buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Head over to the Capitol on January 15th for the 5th annual STEM Matters Day. This fun, hands-on educational event explores innovations in science, technology, engineering, and math. Featuring fun activities for kids, exhibits, and demonstrations of the latest in robotics, 3D printing, and much, much more. The event is free and open to the public. Visit the Idaho Events calendar for even more details on this important and educational day.
To post your local event, visit the Idaho Events calendar at ktvb.com.
Come meet a 7-0 tonight on the news at 10.
Democratic Representative Ilana Rubel and Senator Michelle Stennett are my guests today, and we just have a couple of minutes left. I want to know, like, your job as a senator, your job as a representative. What are you focused on right now on a day-to-day basis in the legislature, in the Senate, Senator?
Well, in this first week, it's set up. We've done a lot of work in the interim, as was mentioned. So, and I have a veteran caucus. She has newer members and obviously had a lot of turnover right before they started. So we're probably moving in little different directions at the moment. But our first work is to get our committees all set up, and we talked about administrative rules and things that come through early for the Senate. We do all of the appointments that come through that the governor hands to us for approval. Of course, they're the ones that start with all the revenue issues right in the early parts of the legislative session. So, and then for me, it's I like to try to communicate to the public as much in forums like this and on panels about what's going on and keep the public informed. So a lot of that right now is, this is what we see, this is what we hope, this is probably what's going to come to us, please stay engaged and communicate.
And for you, Representative Rubel, what's the immediate focus?
Well, we're working through the rules, of course, and a lot happened there with, a major reduction of the rules. So we're all reading that carefully to make sure that, we're comfortable that nothing was cut that shouldn't have been cut. And I think there's probably going to be some contentious rules coming up. We are, personally, I'm, working with the new members of my caucus, making sure they're oriented and putting the final touches on my bills. Because I have, a fair bit of legislation I want to bring, and I'm trying to make sure that everybody's okay with it, work through opposition, wordsmith it, all that, so it'll be ready to go and hit all the deadlines.
I'm going to have to stop right there. Thank you so much for that explanation. I always like to get a little bit of a civics lesson, if I can, for what people are may not know about what happens in the legislature. So thank you both so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And that is all of our time for this week's Viewpoint. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Doug Petcash. I'll see you tomorrow on today's Morning News and right back here next Sunday morning for another Viewpoint.